So I've taught poetry before, I've studied it with groups of students that I've had in the past. And that being said, I have never found anything this elegant, this powerful, this real as the process that we use at Art.from.Ashes. We're not teaching poetry. We talk a little bit about metaphor, and then we're in there. And like what the young people bring in terms of courage and vulnerability and honesty, realness, it's awe-inspiring to me. It's humbling. It gives me hope, that whatever is happening in the universe, however bad it may be, I really think our young people, they're going to show us the way.
What's up? What's up? What's up? This is your girl, Yuta K Best, and you are watching and or listening to Hella Random Radio, where positive energy lives. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I am super excited to introduce our special guest today. We have youth poets and the program director from Denver area nonprofit Art.from.Ashes. And I am super excited to build with Asho.
Osei.
Oh, I apologize. Osei.
It's Ashe.
Oh, Osei.
Osei. I know it was close to Ashe because I'm always saying Ashe.
I tell people it's like what is it? It switches. It's like it's Yahshua in the Torah, and it's Yahshua in the Torah and Osei somewhere. So, Osei, so it gets a little
Oh, awesome! So it's a name from a religious text, which is super dope. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm going. Well, actually, I will introduce Beo and Liza here in a bit. Why don't you go ahead and tell us, Osei, in who the character is, or who the entity, or spirit, or even if you don't know exactly what it means in the book or who it is in the book, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so there was many tales. Sadly, I learned more about a Goliath than an Osei, but
okay.
He was somebody of that stature and power, and was known to save people. My name is Osei Jared, and Jared means to descend, and Osei means to save.
Wow.
Regarding to
so
that,
it's like descending to save.
Yeah.
Folks, beings, whatever, perhaps.
That's how I like to look at it.
Humanity. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Hi, Beo. And am I saying that right?
It's Beo.
Beo. Okay, gotcha. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Awesome, awesome. And how long have you been from Art.from.Ashes? What school do you go to? Is there anything in particular you would like folks to know about you off top?
I think I've been with Art.from.Ashes for almost a year now, or it probably have been a year. I go to East High School. I'm a senior. I'm graduating this year, so I can't wait to get out. I've been writing a lot, but I haven't really started doing poetry until I started working with Art.from.Ashes. I've been mainly doing choir stuff because I'm a choir kid, but I still love to write and everything. It helps me express myself.
Nice, nice. Shout out to Austin Lutz in the audience. So good to see you. She is the executive director for Consumption Literacy Project, which is an organization that I work with. They work with gardens all over Denver, and the main garden being the Montbello Spiral Garden behind the United Church of Montbello. Thank you so much for being here, Austin. Always good to see you. And that's cool, Beo. My son graduated from East 2018, I believe.
So
Yes, go East Angels.
yeah, I know him. I went there my freshman year, 2018.
Oh, okay, yeah, his name is Justice or Justy. He was actor of the year that year.
Okay, we're in the yearbook for sure. That's legendary. That's cool.
Okay, dope. Awesome.
Yeah.
And Liza Hubbell.
Hello, my friend. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing really well.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it turns out that this is Austin's daughter, Navoya. It's not actually Austin.
Okay.
Hi, Navoya. Thank you for listening. Okay. I'm sorry, Liza. Go ahead.
No worries. I'm doing all right. It's been a good day so far, but have been looking forward to this for quite some time. So I just want to, off the top, thank you, Yuta, and also deep thanks to Osei and to Beo for joining us today, because I know, they're really busy young people. There's always a lot going on, and I'm just grateful that you invited us on to hang out and chat. Thank you very much.
Of course. My judgment is that we need the youth maybe almost as much as we need air and water, in order to figure out this new normal, because a lot of us older folks are so conditioned to the old way, that we can't even see what might be the new way. We need some imaginative youth. And so I definitely want to hold as much space as possible for folks to practice using their voice and to, get to try this out and maybe decide to start their own podcast,
Absolutely. They have such wisdom that, we, as you said, we have been conditioned in such a way that sometimes it's hard to connect and communicate across generations. But I know that young people have the energy and the passion to be able to show you and I the way, right? If they'll allow us to
ride their coattails,
right? Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I have to add imagination, because, even Einstein way back in those days was saying, that imagination is way more important than intelligence. And so I think that this new normal, whatever it's going to look like, is going to come from, the imagination as much as from, anywhere else in the cosmos,
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, Osei, did you have some questions, or do you want me to start and kind of warm things up a bit? How are you feeling?
Oh yeah, I would like to stay on topic for this purpose. So I would like to just get honestly like the generic style of introduction, just truly your background, and just work from there. But before that, can I just give a shout out based on what we were just talking about? My friend Yeji, she goes to school at MSU. She has a band. I believe it's called Special Blend, is the band she's a part of, and the ages are 17 to 77, and their entire goal is to like mend that gap between ages and just understand that we're on the same team. There's no separation.
Yes.
I think, what is it called? I'm like a non-dualist, if that's the word, or I'm into like non-duality.
I think I know what you're talking about. Like it's all good is another way of saying that, maybe. Like we may not feel good, or we may not know how it's good, but actually everything that happens is meant to happen. So it's all
No,
good. Is that what you mean by non-dualist?
I even agree with that too. I definitely advanced that idea. However, my idea that I was sharing was more so to speak that like divine oneness, like regardless of like I look at good and bad as as a like a secondhand emotion like that we feel in this life. You feel me? Like ultimately, like there's just high and low vibrations, and we're supposed to experience it all. So yeah, I don't believe in like even the separation, like race that separates us.
Yes.
Certain religions, it separates us. And again, I don't want to get too controversial too. See, I get canceled.
No. This place is for complete authenticity.
Yeah.
So yes, feel free to dive as deep as you would like on, follow your heart, is what I would ask.
I'm here to learn. I would love to hear your background first and foremost.
Awesome, Dawson. So I definitely agree that all is one and one is all, and we may be vibrating on different parts of the spectrum, but I do believe that we all have access to everything that exists, all the memories of everything that has ever happened and much of what will happen. I believe all that information is in the air between us, and that as we begin to focus and spend some time in meditation or whatever in creation where we're not super focused on the external material world, we can grow our spirit and our consciousness to the place where we can really access all the information that's out here. So again, I'm not sure that's exactly what you're saying, but I definitely agree and can kind of start there as far as like my spiritual belief system. Then all that being said, my name is Yuta K. Best. I am at this point a spiritual life coach. I do this talk show. This is really probably my biggest passion. I do think of it kind of as an extension of the coaching. I work for Consumption Literacy Project. I am currently their program coordinator. And so we are teaching the youth about circular economy, how to grow food, composting, and the ultimate goal is to at least help folks believe in the ability to create food sovereignty, and not be so dependent upon external and certainly non-local, entities for your food. I also am a yoga and meditation practitioner. I host 5 Zoom meditation sessions a day, that are open to the public. They're just donation based because, I believe that maybe next to knowing how to grow something, having a healthy relationship with your mind is something that we're all going to need to survive. I believe that, meditation, therapy, coaching, at least having good accountability partners and things of that nature are the way to survive. I think that therapy and coaching and things of that nature is the best investment that any of us can make. It's nice to have a big bank account, but a bank account is not going to save anybody from where I think we're headed. I think your peace of mind is your greatest investment. So yoga, meditation, I was raised pretty much to be an engineer. I grew up in the Watts. I grew up in Watts, in the projects in Watts. And probably the same as everywhere else these days, in second grade, you get an aptitude test. And because I was a young Black girl in the projects who scored kind of ridiculously high in math and science, I was an anomaly. So that was pretty much all I was ever taught. It was really like almost a given that I was going to be an engineer. So I went to the University of Colorado at Boulder in 92. And I started with a degree and working on a degree in aerospace engineering until I found out that I was probably going to have to work for the Department of Defense. And I wasn't spiritual at that time, but I didn't want to work for the Department of Defense. And so I shifted into computer science and graduated with a computer science degree. I worked for McKesson HBOC. They're probably just called McKesson at this point, but they were at the time the number 4 biggest producer of medicine, of pills, in the country. And they also had an information technology business. And so I helped to build software for hospitals. And I actually loved that job. I love problem solving. I was good and still am to a certain extent when I put my mind to it, good at technology. But I had all the things, the BMW, the expensive apartment, me and my son were able to travel, and pretty much do what we wanted when we wanted. But I wasn't happy, and I would periodically have these, it took me years to describe it, but I eventually just started describing it as this deep emptiness. I would just periodically have that feeling of emptiness, and it was scary, and I just couldn't, tell my son college, job, family when it wasn't working for me. I wasn't happy. I had all the stuff and I was having a good time even, but I still was not happy. And so I had to leave, and it has been quite the journey. I definitely don't suggest, just running away from your corporate job if you don't really have a plan. But at the same time, where your attention goes, your energy goes. And a lot of times, you don't have energy for a side gig or to learn something new or whatever if you're giving 40 plus hours of your time and energy to somebody else's dream. So you kind of have to weigh those pros and cons. But anyway, I left, and it's been quite the journey. I taught public school for a while here in Colorado. You don't have to have a teaching certificate. You just have to have a bachelor's degree to teach at charter schools, not in public school, but in charter schools, you don't have to have a teaching certificate. So my son at the time was going to the school called Tubman Hilliard in 5 Points. And after he went, he started 6th grade there in probably like August of maybe 2013, I think. And in January, their math teacher quit, and so they knew that as an engineer that I would be able to teach math. And so I went to teach math, and I loved that. I had no training, so I didn't understand curriculum, and so what made sense to me is that everybody is working at their own pace. So there would be times where I would have a classroom with everyone from 3rd grade up to 8th grade, and they would all be doing something different. And I would just walk around and answer questions. And sometimes I would have the older students, help the younger students, and that's just what made sense to me. And now that I know some educators who are really in the public school, I'm learning that that's how it used to be before we kind of moved to this more industrial model of education. But I was a very idealistic person, and working in public school definitely taught me that the school to prison pipeline is a real thing.
So real.
And I could not exist in that. And so I ended up leaving. Actually, I was fired, to be honest. But, probably 5, 6, 7 years later, the principal told me that I was the best math teacher he had ever seen. But yeah, and then after I left that, I was actually a server at City O City, a vegan and vegetarian restaurant here in town for a while. I left that. My very last job working for others full-time, I was a caregiver for a friend of mine's special needs daughter. And I really enjoyed that. I left that in December of 2019, right before quarantine. I was running all over the city, doing readings. I read cards. I was doing readings, teaching yoga, doing meditation sessions, just anywhere that a person would accept me. And then quarantine happened and we got forced online, and it saved my life ultimately, because once I started advertising on the internet, I started reading cards for people all over the world. And so I was able to, the first year and a half, maybe almost 2 years of quarantine, I was able to pay all my bills just reading cards. So that was really dope. That started to dry up in about December of 2021. And so I went and got my magnetic mind coaching certification, and that, blew my practice back up. I met Austin at that time, and that pretty much brings us to today.
That's such a cool story. I appreciate you sharing that.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to do some quick shout outs in the chat. Shout out to my brother, DJ Theory 1 in the place to be. So good to see you. Thank you for coming through. DJ Theory is always wanting me to talk about aliens and those things of that nature, unidentified something. He was going to tell us later, I can guarantee you. But I am telling him that I'm not going to talk about it until he comes on and talks with me. I'm all for it, but this is your thing. So come and talk to me about it.
Can I say one thing about that?
Please do.
I call them IFOs.
What does that mean?
Like they're identifiable, to be honest.
I heard that.
Oh man,
that makes sense.
Austin says, loving hearing your stories. Thank you for sharing. And DJ 31 said I put him on blast. Yes, I'm gonna keep putting you on blast until you come on and talk about this stuff with me, so I don't have to be a novice talking about things that you are an expert at. Awesome, Dawson. So Beo, or Osei, do either of y'all have any questions or comments or anything before I start to ask some, or you, Liza?
I don't have any.
I'm so curious about your work, but I should have just had more structured questions, because for the longest time now though, I've been making my connections with string theory, the rule of fifth, whether we're talking about from music theory or color theory, and it just gets so deep. And my thing, I'm huge with learning about frequencies, because one of the biggest artists at the time, it was about 6 years ago or 7 years ago, and then he had a 5-year run, was XXXTentacion.
Yes.
And what he did, I don't think a lot of people understand what the ultimate thing that he did was he taught a bunch of little kids about universal laws. So we subconsciously learned, and then I guess got older and started really diving deep. And y'all have always been into learning about frequencies. So if you have any information, that's pretty broad though, but if you have any information that you've learned at this from this point in time, I would love to learn or hear from you.
Yeah. The first thing that comes up when you say string theory, even though I don't think they're as closely related as I am thinking they are, but it's quantum physics. And this idea now, that they're proving essentially that matter responds to our expectations, which in other words means that we are, with the right level of focus and mastery, we are magicians, and we can literally manipulate and change matter, and our bodies are mostly empty space. It can be hard to wrap your mind around these things, but I've heard it said that if we took all of the empty space out of every person, all 8 billion people on this planet, we would all fit into a thimble.
Wow.
And so when you think about that kind of stuff, to me, that tells me that at the very least, with the right level of practice and focus and mastery, we can manipulate our own bodies. Like, we don't have to get sick. We don't have to grow old. You know, like, we can really learn to have some control over this matter, because the matter, even though it looks solid, is actually minimal. It's mostly space between atoms that we're dealing with. And I think that we can really gain some control over that.
Yeah. I mean, like in science class, I think also in math though, but primarily science, I remember they always talked about solid, liquid, and gas. And I just feel like there was a lot of like esoteric things in school that I look back at. And like the solid, liquid, and gas thing with like the ice cubes and like the water and all that. I feel like that was just so, like, there were so many hidden messages for real.
Right. It's true. It's true. And I'm glad that you're paying attention. And like you said, perhaps XXXTentacion, you know, kind of unconsciously taught y'all, you know, a lot of stuff. And the thing is, again, all is one and one is all. So in my opinion, everything that has ever happened, that has ever been learned, is all just waiting for us to remember it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the root, the etymology of the word education actually means to remember. So what's happening at school, where they're forcing all these facts into your mind, is actually the opposite of education. You know, in my opinion, education is helping you to remember who you are and be your highest self. Like, I truly believe that when we were born, we knew exactly what we came to this planet to do, up until, you know, we were about 4 or 5. You know, the ego comes online, we start getting conditioned, and then we forget. And then we have to remember, you know? And so to me, education ideally, you know, would be really getting to know students when they are young, and then, you know, teaching them the basics, you know, some reading, some, you know, some 3rd grade math, you know, but then ultimately letting them, you know, figuring out what they're good at, and let them from a very early age start to figure out how to make a business out of what they're already naturally good at, you know, so that they don't get plugged in to the corporate system that we have. And now it's even more important, because the corporate system is gonna go away. Those jobs are gonna get less and less as technology gets smarter. And so we really, in my opinion, have to be at least willing to figure out what we love so much that we would do it every day, whether we were getting paid for it or not, and then see what kind of a product we can make out of that love. You know, I think our creativity is how we're going to make money. That's going to grow, and desk jobs are going to shrink, you know, as time goes on. But I feel like I definitely went off tangent there. So yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
And you brought it back to creativity, right?
Exactly.
Which
Yes.
is sort of what brings all of us here together, you know,
Yes.
the creative genius of our 2 current youth poets, but all the youth that we serve at Art.from.Ashes, you know. And it really resonated with me, you know, when you were talking about like how grounded and also open and knowing we are when we're young, because it's true. It really is true. Every human is a creative genius. And we unlearn that as we age. Like one of the things that we talk about a lot in workshop is like a landmark study done way back where they were able to track kind of the creative expression. And when you're little, you're like at 98%, you're off the charts. And then by the time you're an adult, it's fallen away to like 2%. And
Right.
you know, that tells us it's unlearned, right? It's baked into our society that we want to kind of pigeonhole people and say, well, you're going to be a this and you're going to be a that, and this is kind of what you get, and this is where you fit. And it doesn't have to be that way. That really using our creativity to solve problems and show up in the world and connect with each other, that's an act of resistance. You know, that's really where it's at.
Yeah.
And only Osei can do what Osei does, and only Beo can do what Beo does, and only you can do what you do, right? But we can all be connected and hold that space for each other and for ourselves.
Yes, Ashe. Yeah, I mean, and I like how I always want to figure out a better way to tell that story, because when I tell that story, I say studies show that everyone is brilliant when they're 2 or 3, and then they just, once they go to school, they just get dumber and dumber every year.
Heard about some stuff, but like we lose that connection to our creative genius, our wisdom, our truth, and we can find it again. And I mean, that's a lot of like how we go about trying to leverage spoken word and poetry to allow these amazing young people to come in and just access and share it. And it's so transformative. And not just, I'm not saying like, oh, it transforms you, right? It's not, because your transformation also transforms everyone that you're making that connection with, right? It transforms me. It transforms consciousness. Exactly. So it's really, really powerful. Really powerful.
Yeah, you know, and definitely you can remember that, you know, your creativity and all that. As a 51-year-old now, who has had to unlearn all the conditioning that I was taught, like in the past 17 years, like I've had all these different gigs, but my main number one job was unlearning all the conditioning that I picked up in school so that I could be my most authentic self. So that's the only thing that I would add to what you're saying, is that unfortunately, yes, we can get back to our most creative selves, but we have to spend an inordinate amount of time unlearning all the conditioning that we pick up. You know, and that's hard. You know, the unconscious mind is essentially a pattern recognition. And once it recognizes a pattern, it latches on and it's doing it for you. And then you have to get really present for, you know, at least a year in order to shift those patterns and habits that the unconscious has picked up. And so it's really hard work to reprogram once you have allowed others to force a lot of things in. You know, it's definitely doable. And it's really the point that that's the reason why we're all born. We come here to forget and remember and see how long it'll take us, you know, to a certain extent, you know, so it's not a tragedy, but it is a lot of work, you know, just to put that out there. I spent 12 years in lower education, and then 19 years learning what they wanted me to learn, at least before I went to corporate. And now I've had to spend 17 years remembering myself, you know, so that's a cautionary tale. Awesome. So Beo, are you having any thoughts that you would like to share, or maybe you might be about ready to share some of your poetry?
I'm ready to share my poetry.
Okay. Please do. Do you want to introduce your piece at all, or tell us the title or anything like that?
Yeah. The title of the poem is called Balance. I don't really have like any meaning or whatnot, but here it is. Balance is feeling no strong emotion, not sad but happy, not too happy but neutral. It's It's balance feels like a clear headspace with little to no thoughts.
Nice. Nice. I love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I
love
mean, and
that.
it
Thank
yeah,
you,
it's
Beo.
true. Yes, thank you so much. Like it's not a what is the shortest poem, like a haiku? It's not a haiku, but it's not really long, and it is such an important truth, that it's perfect in the way that it is, because a lot of people will be sparked toward awakening, just by hearing that. There is what we call in the spiritualist realm, toxic positivity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
These people who think that if you that the ascended masters are always happy, and that's a lie, and it's a dangerous lie. So I love that you're talking about the importance of balance. Does Beo have a meaning, or is that your given name? What made you choose that name?
It doesn't have a meaning. It's just a name that I think I seen um somewhere online, and I decided to go with it because usually I think it started 8th grade. Every school year I would change my name. 8th grade it was Eliza. Freshman year um it was Spencer.
That's all.
Sophomore year it was YB, and junior year it became Beo, and I stuck with that ever since. And like every time someone like says, like when someone can have a conversation with another person and they be like, "Oh yeah, Beo," and they automatically think of me because that's basically like my name. I'm the only person in the school or that they know of that has that name, and it feels right whenever someone says my name. Like the other names, they didn't feel too right, and I was just like, nah, I'm gonna change it. But with when Beo came along, I was like, yeah, that's going to be the name that I choose to let people know me as.
I love that. And that's what I mean. Like you went through a process of remembering, and it may
Yeah,
not have like a dictionary meaning, but I can guarantee you that there's a frequency
yeah.
Yeah,
attached to
Yeah.
it,
Mhm.
yeah.
that resonates with you as a person. That's really awesome. How do your parents and the people around you, how do they feel about all the name changes? Do they
Um,
honor them?
um, my grandparents and like my aunts and uncles doesn't really know that I've changed my name before.
Okay.
At least they think. I think they might know, but they just didn't pay no mind to it. But my mom, um, she definitely knows, and beforehand she wouldn't like, it's not like she was against the names, she was just used to my birth name, so she wouldn't really call me those names. But when it came to Beo, sometimes when she's like talking to my friends or something, she'll actually use that name. And like actually this year for Christmas on our presents, she put Beo on there for the rapping, and it made me feel so happy that she remembered and she spelled it right too. So
That's all.
yeah, she doesn't mind, but she will call me Beo sometimes, but also she won't.
Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and yay, mom, for honoring the name.
Amazing.
Awesome, awesome.
Beo,
Um,
can I ask a quick question? Just because, like, I have worked with Beo in the past, and we've been out in community, and they've been able to read their amazing poetry. That was, what was that, September when we did that event together. But I haven't been in workshop with you in quite a while. Did you write Balance in 3 minutes? Was that a 3-minute AFA? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yes. really powerful. I feel a little, I have to say, I feel a little self-conscious because usually after our youth poets read, we like whoop it up, we're clapping and screaming and stuff. And I kind of sat here. So I'm whooping it up and clapping and screaming, in my heart. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you so much, Beo. Thank you, thank you. I mean, and Liza or anyone, can you tell me about this 3-minute exercise? And because maybe there are people listening who want to get back in touch, and
Yes.
it's nice to hear that, 3 minutes is
3
not a lot of
minutes.
time.
Well, really, at the heart of our work to really lift up and amplify youth voice is getting back to that place of creative genius. And in order to do that, it's the unlearning you spoke of, right? We have two sides of our brain. We've got the left side that tells us, hey, don't walk out in traffic because you're going to get hit by a bus. And then we have the right side of our brain where our imagination lives. And often in culture, in our American hustle culture, we're really steered to think with that left side of the brain. How am I going to, get myself together to, go into a particular profession? And what am I going to be able to make? And, can I buy the house and the car? That's all very linear and logical. And that's not what we want to do in workshop for the youth and with the youth. So what we do typically are writing prompts that we ask the youth to just kind of push through and write as much as they can for 3 minutes. And then we stop, and whatever is on the paper is truly perfect. It is their creative genius. And we offer an invitation for them to come up and read what they've just written, unedited, uncensored, on the mic in community with the folks that are in workshop with them. And I, much like you, Yuta, I went through the whole school thing and learned all the things I was supposed to do, right? And one of the things that I did do for many years was teach school, elementary and middle school. And so I've taught poetry before, I've studied it with groups of students that I've had in the past. And that being said, I have never found anything this elegant, this powerful, this real as the process that we use at Art.from.Ashes. We're not teaching poetry. We talk a little bit about metaphor, and then it's on. We're in there. And like what the young people bring in terms of courage and vulnerability and honesty, realness, it's awe-inspiring to me. It's humbling. It gives me hope, that whatever is happening in the universe, however bad it may be, I really think our young people they're gonna show us the way. If we listen to them, if we respect them, if we make space for them, they will lead the way. Because the wisdom, the creativity, the genius, it's already there. They already have it. So we're really the adults at Art.from.Ashes. We are truly facilitators. We are there to facilitate this process. We're not there to control it or, predict its outcome. We're here for every young poet that we serve.
Awesome. Awesome. And Osei, how long have you been with Art.from.Ashes?
So I've actually just how recent have I joined?
It was about a month and a half, maybe. I'm taking.
Oh, so super new.
Yes.
Yeah, so I go back though. Like it gets deep. You feel me? Like I've just joined, but I've known about them, and I've had connections beforehand. So like people already told me. Actually, like their neighboring there's like what I call a neighboring company, Youth on Record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like we have a neighboring company like Youth on Record, who I've known about for years. And I believe it was sometime last year where I went over there, and they mentioned to me that there was a poetry group, and I took forever to go. So I want to shout out. With that being said, I want to shout out 20th Street Rec Center, downtown Denver, because they have a business table where they have like cards for almost any business, whether it's like CrossFit, cycling, anything, like the youth programs going on. And obviously one of them was Art.from.Ashes, and as soon as I saw that card, it like instantly resonated with me, so I came through from that. So shout out to 20th Street Rec Center for sure. I love to give shout outs because like there's so many things are part of the journey. And then one more thing, so I want to shout out Andre, aka Hakeem Furious. That's my guy. That's my guy. He I was a kid at going to Trio Upward Bound, the program, and like he spent so much time he didn't even have to with us. Like my biggest thing in this life is I feel like you can spend your energy on people, like and so like that's the thing that he did. He would go to so many what is it called, field trips with us, and then he actually did this exercise similar to Art.from.Ashes, where we would have an instrumental, like a jazz instrumental in the background, and we would just do the whole exercise. We would just write for minutes on end, and then he would throw a word in there, so we would find something that matches up with the word, but it's all freestyle. So that was my first inspiration, first person that I saw, like first man, but also like I mean, like the entire prototype. I swear I've never saw somebody older than me that did something like me. So he truly changed my life, because I was almost in the streets for real. So I want to shout out to him, because he single-handedly like showed me it was an avenue for sure. I didn't mean to get too long-winded, but shout out to my guy.
No. Definitely express yourself. And yes, I want to shout out my brother Hakeem Furious too. We used to facilitate some after school programs together. So shout out to Hakeem Furious. Shout out to Creative Strategies for Change, which unfortunately has just kind of closed their doors. But yeah, there are lots of beautiful people doing beautiful work. And I just love, the world is such a tiny, tiny place. I feel like Denver is less than 1 degree. I feel like everyone that you want to know is no more than 1 degree away from you. So always remember that, and network and ask for what you need. Awesome. So how has your experience with Art.from.Ashes been in this month and a half?
It's been beautiful. Like I accidentally became an ambassador.
Accidentally, you've been doing a lot of work with us.
No, I'm being so serious though. I can't even lie. Like it was an accident. Like I love, like my friends that came. I feel like they're telling me not to feel bad, but like everybody that came, I'm in this self-improvement journey. So it's like, it's not that like I see people. You feel me? Like I appreciate the individuality, because we all like it's truly rare and beautiful that we are on the planet at the same time together. We are all a certain career collective of atoms in this body. It's like it's beautiful that we're all are individuals, but right now I'm on my self-improvement journey, and I see energies more than people. You feel me? So it's like I've been just focused on me. Everybody that's coming with me is literally watching me, noticing what I'm doing. And again, like they're doing their great things too. I'm not making my brothers and sisters sound like fans by any means, but I'm literally not focused on them at all. And they'll hit me up like, "Yo, what are you doing?" Or they'll build me like, "Yo, can I go with you?" I'm not even trying at all for them to come, so that I feel bad. Like I became an ambassador because my friends were just interested in what I was doing. Like
that's dope. What is your birthday? If you don't mind?
It's natural ambassadorship, right? You have this light that shines, and people are like, "Hey, what are you interested in? What are you doing?" So yeah, we do have a youth ambassador program that Beo also is very much part of, and it's kind of tiered for youth depending on like how much involvement they want to partake in, but we do some different asks of them in the community, performing out at various community events. We just had some poets on the mic at Future Fest this weekend.
It's actually me and Beo.
Yeah, it was these two. Amazing. But we respect our young people, and we feel their voice is incredibly important to amplify. So we do pay our poets to do their thing and share their art in community. And the ambassadorship, different tiered levels of that also come with some compensation opportunities too, because it's a leadership role, right? And if you're stepping into leadership, you need to be respected and honored for that work, and so that is paid.
Nice.
Congratulations on your ambassadorship.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Do you mind if I ask when your birthday is, Osei? And you don't have to say the year, just the month and the day, or you don't have to say that either. It's know.
I don't mind at all. Yeah, I mean, I can give you the whole thing, because I've learned in this life, like, if you tell somebody your birthday, you have told them everything about you.
Well,
I truly feel that, like, people don't. I don't know if people get out deep or I mean, I don't know if deep is a thing. I feel like it's inherently like basic and complex.
Yeah. Yeah, just to make it maybe a tiny bit comfortable, I'm glad that you're open. But I have a few astrologers that come on the show on a regular basis. And there's this gentleman named Shechem Ra. He's a Jyotish astrologer and a Kemetic priest. And he said it's actually 3 data points that you need. You need the person's date and time of birth, their name, and where they were born, in order to really get an accurate chart.
And I'm like a minute. I'm like 3 minutes off. I the closest I can give you, I'm like a minute or 2 off. My mom knows it on the hair, so I think I could give you the time.
Well, I'm just gonna give you your birth card, so all I need is the month and the day.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're just talking about. See, me, I get it. I dive into the future so quick. I'll forget where I'm at. Let me stop yapping. My birthday is January 8th.
Oh wow! So you're the 6 of Spades, which is the card of destiny and faith. That's Bob Marley's birth card. Just to put that out there. And it is a very, and somehow it doesn't really make as much sense to me, but somehow it seems like all the 6 of Spades that I know are pretty psychic people and able to move in time, kind of in the ways that you're talking about. But there is something about the Capricorn version of those 6 of Spades, which doesn't make sense to me. I would think that the earth energy would make it harder to access. Like, I feel like a lot of water and air are really helpful for the psychic realms or whatever. But for some reason, that Capricorn version of the 6 of Spades is very psychic. But that's why I asked, because it definitely, talking about, like, I wasn't really trying to be an ambassador. It just kind of happened to me. And then the way you talk about moving around in time and stuff, I was just wondering, and it makes sense, that is definitely, and just don't forget, definitely that's some super Bob Marley energy. And what I always like to say, I didn't know, but I read a biography about him, listening to his music when I was young. I was like, oh, this is cool, blah, 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 but I thought that maybe, he wrote a few songs and got famous, and that's how it goes. But when you read his biography, like, this man was playing music every day, 8 hours a day. Sometimes he was homeless. Sometimes he didn't have anything to eat, but he was practicing music no matter where he was at. And so, and it took some decades. So he earned the fame that he got. It was not a gift. He earned that. He put so much energy into his craft that he just became infinitely attractive, in my opinion, like energetically attractive. So
He was also a huge giver. Like, I don't even want to talk too much. So you can tell me way more about Bob than I can. But like a thing that I learned with like his philanthropy work, that's what I heard. That's just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and his family is definitely still doing a lot of giving for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Awesome. So Beo, you have been with Art.from.Ashes for a year. So you've been around quite a bit longer than Osei. Do you want to tell us about your experience, maybe some of your favorite things or events or anything? What would you like us to know about Art.from.Ashes and your time with them?
Being in Art.from.Ashes is just an amazing thing to be in, because it helps me get through a lot of things, especially since I can write whatever I want. And like sometimes after school, like for First Friday events or whatever events so happen to fall on it, like a school day, it makes my day more better, because then I'm like, I actually get to go out and do something and not just sit in the house bored, and I get to write. Um, and like the events are really cool. I would never thought that I would perform in like what choir. It's different because I'm actually singing with multiple people, and it's not just me. But with like poetry, it's just me speaking because I'm the one who created the piece. And I never thought that I would be able to perform in front of like hundreds of people at like the events I've been to so far. Like the recent one, the festival one, Pride, and other ones. I never thought I'd be able to do that, because at choir, I've always wanted to do a solo part, but every time I tried out, I would get nervous and then mess it up and end up not getting the solo part. But with poetry, it's really easy because I don't get judged. I know I won't get judged. I get to say what I want, and I don't have to sing it. I can just say it. Um, and like with Art.from.Ashes, especially the prompts and everything, it's helped me be able to see like um to understand metaphors better, because I never understood them before. Like I would always get them confused. I never knew what a metaphor was. But once we start writing poems about metaphor and everything, that's when it really helped. And I was like, I could say something and write a poem about it. Like it could be anything random, and I could just write about it, and I could put it in a metaphorical sense and have that imagery and whatnot. And Art.from.Ashes really has inspired my creativity, because sometimes I'll be outside or just anywhere and I'll see something and I'm like, I could write a poem about that now, because I know, like, I have the creativity to do that. So being with Art.from.Ashes definitely opened my eyes, and I never thought that I would write poetry for real, only in school. But being there, that's when I knew that poetry was one of my hobbies that I wanted to do. Because now, even outside of Art.from.Ashes, I'll take the time out of my day to write poems. Sometimes I'll write like 6 poems in a row, or probably 3 outside of Art.from.Ashes. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And again, we're all consent based here. So if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to, but I would love to know your birthday and maybe share your birth card too.
Okay, it's January 23rd.
Wow, lots of January folks. That would make you the 4 of diamonds, which is described as the card of solid values. Like I like to think of the 4 of diamonds as like the rock of Gibraltar type of energy, because they're very powerful and grounding. And somewhere in the chart, I don't know all the charts off the top of my head, but somewhere in the chart for the 4 of diamonds is the King of Spades, which is the final and most powerful card in the deck, and so in many ways you are the King of Spades, so you are likely way more powerful than you know. And I'm grateful that you are sharing your time and space with us. And I feel like one day I'll be able to say, I know her. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so Beo has shared a piece with us. Would you like to share a piece, Osei?
Oh yeah, I would love to. I have not prepared, so I'm just gonna have fun with this. Just pick a random one. Well, I'll try to be somewhat intentional, but I'm gonna pick right now.
While O'Shea's finding the poem, I will say that one of our strategies is we have all our youth write in pen.
Okay.
And because then you can't erase it, right? And we really want them to just like keep the pen on the page for the whole 3 minutes. And we'll tell them, like if you feel stuck, just write words, or whatever. Just keep that mechanism moving forward, and the language comes, and it does. It will present itself in the poem, and we don't censor any of the language. They can use any kind of language they choose. It can, be as strong as they want to make it. We just ask that, like, part of the experience in workshop is to create a vibe of respect. So that difference between a curse and like cursing someone, you can use colorful language to express yourself, but you don't want to use that kind of language or any language to curse another human, right?
Yeah.
So but young people get stuck because they feel like, oh, I don't know how to spell this word, or I'm not doing this right, or like everyone's going to think I'm strange if I read this poem. So one of the mantras that I say all the time is everything's a poem, because it is. Everything is a poem, and there is no wrong way to do it. Did you find one?
Yeah.
Right on.
And I want to add something quickly to that too. First of all, I had to put that up on the screen. Everything is a poem. And then second, I want to shout out my brother, Creative Rodriguez, who is a streamer here on Twitch, and he does a lot of gaming, but he's also a visual artist, and he does animation. Wow. And that's one thing that he teaches too in drawing and sketching. He's like, use a pen. He's like, either make it work with the pen or ditch it and start over. He's right. Like, that, no erasing. So I love that is showing up somewhere else. And let me shout out my sister, Stepping Out of Babylon. So good to see you, Queen Sister. Thank you for coming through. She says, intuitive stream of thought, words on paper. Love it. Greetings, all. Greetings to you, Stepping Out of Babylon. Awesome. Okay, Osei, you are on deck.
It felt like a good problem to have. I did not know which one to pick. So if I can give a little bit of, I don't even necessarily have too much backstory for this one, but I will say that since you're bringing up, I don't want to get the word wrong, astronomy.
Okay, astrology.
See, I knew it.
That's all right.
It's like when you're trying to not get it wrong.
Right. And I think probably the word wrong is just so heavy, but yes, for sure.
But yeah, so one of my favorite artists, I don't know what the exact thing is, but as you've been saying so many times, the answers are inside of us. We have to remember. So I don't know what the exact answer is, but my entire life, like, I get gravitated towards mainly like Pisces with the artists I listen to. So Giveon is like is somebody I listen to. It's one of my favorite artists, and his name actually means give on. So that's what inspired the ending of my poem.
Okay.
The giving cure is something I've caught firsthand. Though I'd like to talk about what I've seen. Let me start over. The giving cure is something I've caught firsthand. though I'd like to talk about something I've seen. The way one can be walking dead, then become shocked with the beam. Full of sorrow shifted to instant cheer. 99% of the power is unseen, yet that should diminish the value by none. I'm hopeful looking inside, as that's where the war is won. Give on, give on, give on.
Ashe. Woo. Ba, 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 ba. Is that good? I didn't know about the cheering at the end. So sorry I didn't have that for you, Beo, but next time I got you. That was awesome, Osei. That was dope. Say again.
I appreciate you. Man, these exercises are so fun too. I don't even remember what I say. I'm remembering as we talk, or as I read.
That's what really intuitively is, right? You don't have that left side of your brain online like, oh, this connects to that and this is what, it's not mapped out for you. You're in it. You're just in that flow, right? And that's the magic. That's what we see these amazing youth do every time we're in workshop.
Right. Go ahead.
I don't want to call Beo out, but if it was cool if we both perform one more at some time. I don't know how the format's looking, but if we could perform one more, that was just an idea.
Yeah, no, definitely. I wanted to make space for y'all to perform at least one more, and to add on to what Liza is saying. Yeah, I definitely have been a person who always believed in this idea of separating the message from the messenger. Because my judgment is that when we are really tapped in and doing art, like spirit, we're channeling spirit, and so I may not like a person, but their art can still teach me, and I think a lot of times the art that we create, especially we're super tapped in, is a message from our higher self for us. And so, it doesn't surprise me when you say that sometimes you don't even remember what is written, because our art is as much for us as it is for whoever we share it with, and you'll hear a lot of people say that I'm not even sure what this means, or that it has grown in meaning over years, even to the person who wrote it.
Yeah.
So art is really super amazing. I love it. I love it.
100%.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Beo, did you have anything that you wanted to say, or would you like to share another piece with us?
I can share another piece.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh, it's okay. We can do a segue. Is there anything else, Liza, that you would like to share about Art from Ashes, or the process that you use with the youth, or to help the youth like really, get out of that left brain?
I would like, the first thing that jumps to my mind is I would like to let all youth know and enlist everybody who sees this in spreading the word. All our programming is always free for youth. And like, we do standing programming. We do Wednesday creative time here at the office at 10th and Navajo. And that's really when Osei rolled in, was like a Wednesday creative time for the first time. So I mean, I know kind of what I think about it, but as a participant, what would you say? Like, what's the vibe?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I always have to. Well, how would I say? Like, I want to be so authentic. You feel me? Like, I'm the type of person, even with a gun to my head, I'm gonna tell you the truth. You feel me? So it's like, it's a creative space, and I love the outlet to even focus, because I feel like it's two targeted goals. It's like a chance for you guys to, or at least a couple people, to transfer their time and attention from like the labor and all those grueling tasks to just be free and have fun. And then we can come in as well and kind of meet them there. It's like a mutual exchange. And then Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting. I don't want to get too philosophical. I feel like we have criticism, but like criticism is for other days. Like right, this is the praise moment. I truly like love the outlet that it is for kids to come in. We can come in if you need, get some water. You feel me? It's not all about resources, but just truly you can come in, kick your feet up, meditate for a couple minutes. I'm looking at the scene right now because I'm in the office, so I'm like kind of zoning out, like I'm there. But
because you are.
I mean,
that's why
I'm not trying to get too visual with it, but we can we have these little what do you call those desks?
Lap desks, yeah, lap desks.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of comfy furniture, and it is I don't know. It feels like a good space in here.
It's
Do
amazing.
you agree? Yeah.
And then it's an amazing space setting. There's amazing people, and then it's like amazing guests. Like they're so connected. I met a guest speaker one day, and then she was like, we both had a mutual friend who was an artist that works at Youth on Record. So it's like it's just such a, like you said, such a like a 1 degree type of feeling with so many instances.
Yeah.
That is something else to know. We do also work with guest artists and guest poets and bring them into workshop to be with our youth, just to really help illustrate, like, there are so many different ways to be a creative in the world. And, we've got guest artists and poets on a very broad spectrum. We've got folks that are published, to people that are, known for making their music. People you would recognize their name with our 1 degree of separation here in Denver, and then we've got other folks that it maybe isn't something that they've ever done, like in community, read a poem or published or what have you, but they have a passion for serving youth and they want to role model in that way. So, and we pay our guest artists and poets as well. So I feel like that's a really important piece, to be able to respect creatives in a tangible appreciation kind of way. Because a lot of times I think art gets kind of appropriated, that creative urge that we all naturally have to make stuff. If you identify yourself as an artist, then somehow in our culture that translates into, you should just do all this for free because you love it, and that's crazy. That's like
you can eat your art.
Right. I mean, that's ultimately that whole idea that you should love it so much, and so therefore you don't deserve to be paid for it. That's a very colonizing idea, right? That's capitalism with a capital C. So we want to pay our youth, we want to pay our artists and our poets to help, just uplift. And
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there's Arts from Ashes has an office at 10th and Navajo, and on Wednesday youth can just come through, maybe get a snack, some water, and learn how to write some poetry, or not learn how to write some poetry, but practice.
Just be in it. Yes. And that happens. Yes. That happens every Wednesday between 4 and 6 p.m. And it's really a drop-in situation. You can just show up. We've got facilitators here, and, lots of options to make some visual art if we want. Usually there's some music going, there's some snacks. We can just really relax. And it's a great space to be in. And we are like literally down the street from the Osage light rail. We're at
Osage.
Yeah, 1310 West 10th. And so we're pretty accessible if you can hop on the train.
That's awesome. And I'm just putting it up on the screen. Art from Ashes, 1310 West 10th, near Youth on Record and the
right across the street. I'm looking at Youth on Record right now.
Nice. You said you're able to look at it from where you're at?
Yeah, they are across the street neighbors. Yeah.
Oh wow. Awesome. So yes. And what is there the age range? Is there an age range?
12 to 24.
12 to 24.
Mhm.
Awesome. So definitely if you're in the Mile High City and you're between 12 and 24, and you're just looking for a different vibe, or you really are interested in creating art and you have some free time on Wednesdays from 4 to 6, go check out Art.from.Ashes, 1310 West 10th, near the 10th and Osage train station. Awesome. Is there any other programming? Like, I know you have something in Montbello, but I'm not sure if that's open.
We do. Actually, a great place to just kind of look at events that we've got going on is we have a space on our website for events, but we have other standing programming free to youth. We have virtual Third Thursday. We have First Friday, which is this Friday, which again, Beo and Osei are really O'Shea, sorry. The experts, because they have the experience. They come to First Friday and they do the workshops, and then they go out into community and perform. But we've got those standing events. We have, the different kinds of festivals and community partnerships. And then we also run workshops, contracted workshops with different organizations in community. So right now we're running a workshop, for example, at Montbello Career and Technical School, and they've been a great partner with us and for us, and that serves the students that attend there. So it's not like open to the public, but that is part of the work that we do. So.
And what's the website? Is it artfromashes.org or?
It is. It's artfromashes.org.
Awesome. And drum roll, please. All righty, Beo, are you ready to share another piece with us?
Yeah. Let's see. This one is technically 2 poems, but how we did it in Art.from.Ashes, we read the first line of the first poem and then read the first line of the second poem.
Oh, wow.
So I don't have a title for this one. This one was written like a while ago, so I don't remember like the story of it, but here it goes. I seem to be rude, but really I am just irritated. I choose to be the nice girl that anyone can trust. I seem to be fidgety, but really I am overstimulated. I choose to be a girl who expresses her feelings no matter what. Let's see. Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
I seem to be a person who catches feelings easily, but really I am just a lover girl. I choose to be the girl who puts others before herself. I seem to be quiet, but really I am just shy. I choose to be someone who listens and is always honest. I choose to be myself.
Woo. Okay, I gotta do it. I can't sit here and be all quiet. I just can't. Woo. Thank you for that.
Yay, that was gorgeous. Thank you so much for sharing, Beo.
Of course.
Did someone say something?
No, I was saying I swear that's my favorite prompt, but I realize I'm also jumping the gun. I wanted to let you finish.
It is all good. It's all good. Definitely jump in and let me know what's going on. This is for all of us to speak. But yeah, I love that piece. And I think there was a point where you said, I choose to be a girl that puts others first. And I love that and can appreciate that. But I also feel like that it's important for people to understand as soon as possible. Like, it's good to be generous, you know, but I really truly believe that, you know, young souls, you know, incarnate to learn compassion, and that old souls incarnate to learn self-compassion. And my judgment is that you are an old soul, and learning, especially when you already have a practice of giving to others, you know, it really is hard to learn to give to and practice giving to yourself. And so I just like to plant that seed, you know, keep being generous. But if you can, and when you talk about balance, if you can figure out how to be generous while also making sure that you put yourself first, then you really start to win the game, in my judgment. So just to put that out there. But thank you again for that wonderful piece. And shout out to, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right. Please feel free to check me. But welcome in Jihan Monks. And I'm pretty sure that you are a streamer, so folks may want to follow Jihan Monks. And they say that young folks should do more yoga, which I can appreciate. I don't really like to, I don't like to use the word should about other people's lives and process, you know, but I get it. And they say that it's mandatory yoga for young souls. I that I teach yoga. I taught yoga for a lot of years. I still get invited to teach a lot of one-offs. I don't teach weekly like I used to. But I would say I easily have a solid, you know, 500 to 700 hours, you know, into my yoga practice. And so that's not enough time to really have pushed myself to a place of self-love, like just using yoga alone. But in that probably first even 400 hours, I definitely practiced enough for yoga to push me to a place of self-acceptance. And so I do think that, you know, a lot of this emotional work that we have to do sometimes to grow can be hard, and you can't do it all the time, you know. And so yoga to me is a way to really kind of work on yourself without having to think about it. You know, so I agree with the sentiment of yoga being a very important practice, but I just don't like to say should. And yeah, I will also say with that in mind that the mind needs stillness and the body needs movement, you know, and yoga is a really powerful way to get that movement in. And really, if you do it right, it can connect you to your body in such a way that your body becomes your guide through life, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. So shout out Jihan Monks. And awesome. Does anybody else have anything else to say before Osei shares another piece with us?
Let me write that down real quick.
Are you ready, Osei?
I was gonna say, do you happen to have like Instagram? That's my main thing. Where like if I ever lose a number, break a phone, like I'm starting to resort to Instagram.
Yeah, no, I do. It's Hella Random Radio. Hella, HellaRandom Radio is my Instagram. And then I also, it's not a real website right now. I just have the URL coming to my Twitch channel. But you can always find my Twitch at hellarandomradio.com.
Okay.
And what's your IG? Is it okay to share that publicly?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. UN, or I mean, I don't know how would I say it out loud because I'm like my whole
I don't know.
thing. And I'm
You
talking.
can just spell it.
I'm having a whole mental thing right now. Let me breathe, like you said, stillness. Okay, I'm like forgetting my name. UNDECIM 22. So it would be 11, and it's the number 11 in Latin.
Undecim or undecim?
Yeah.
Undecim?
Or undecim. One of my brothers actually.
Undecim.
I'm gonna give him a shout out. My brother Moses Gray Tower from Youth on Record. Yeah, I feel like he said it the smoothest. So yeah, thank you, whoever's in the comments is on it. Yo,
That's me.
that's you. Like the plugs are immaculate. Okay.
Awesome, awesome. So you have another piece for us?
Okay, yeah. If it's perfectly fine with Beo, I was gonna do the same prompt, or would you like me to switch it up? Can you hear me? Is that cool? Yeah, I didn't want to like out overshine or anything.
I mean, I don't really mind either way. So
Okay.
Yeah, I figured Beo was gonna say just be free. Be whoever you are and do whatever you want to do.
Got you. Yeah, I truly love this prompt, dude. I shared this. I'm so sad. We shared this at the our performance on, was it Sunday, and the lady came up to us afterwards, me and Beo, and she was like, "I couldn't hear you guys."
Oh no.
And I tried to invite her to like Art.from.Ashes, and she was like, "I'm out of state." I was like,
Oh dang.
If I can share that really quickly, it's the same. I choose to be me. I choose to be me prompt.
Okay.
I choose to be modest and confident at the same time. Aggressive and gentle, emotional and mental, and fun and serious. And if I had a woman, kind when she's delirious. I vow to be the best me that I can be for no one but me. So there can be effects that trickle down to my entire team.
Ashe. Woo! Ashe, Osei, Ashe, Osei. Bam, 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 bam.
So much. If I may add, there's so much beauty in like. I don't know what to acknowledge it as now because I used to call it time. I mean, I feel like it's just experience. You feel like so much beauty and experience because like you can hear like how Beo is talking, right? And it's like this is truly one of the kindest, most generous people, and I literally see myself in like walking, or I see myself in her footsteps. Just like at certain points of time, I can see myself further ahead or further back in certain instances because like there's so much collective consciousness and intelligence that I've gotten from her. And again, like I appreciate you for telling her that because I want to say the same thing. She's so kind. And again, we have to start realizing that the way that we see other people is truly like a projected self-image. So it's like we're treating all these people so grand and great when we should be treating ourselves that way too. And then ultimately, like we get disappointed by people, but it's like it's really an illusion. Like we truly get disappointed at our projection of who we thought they were. So yeah, like I man, I don't want to keep on going, but man, Beo is such a great person. And it's like I appreciate you for saying that because like she needs to see this. She needs to see that.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you recognize that. And I pray that you never forget that. You know, we definitely are projecting, you know, onto others way more than we are truly experiencing them unless we really, really focus, you know, and almost kind of blot ourselves out and let that other person like just be almost like our mind's eye, if I'm saying that in a way that is understandable. But anyway, thank you for saying that. And it's very clear to me, you know, already that that she is a wonderful, wonderful human being. And both of y'all, I really appreciate y'all coming to share your great poetry and your thoughts and your energy. And yeah, I definitely want to start wrapping up. Are there any other questions, comments, any things of that nature? I do probably want to say a few things to Beo before we leave, but I just want to make space for anything that is top of heart and mind for y'all.
I'll just wrap it up with me. I've been going at it. So I'm just so grateful for this experience. I think this is gonna be on the top of my gratitude list. It's up there for sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you again for sure.
I want to echo that, Yuta. Like, if I can just tell the very quick story of you and I meeting and immediately just starting to talk and vibe, and like I knew that minute that I was going to be your friend, that we were going to be connected, that we're going to move forward and do some incredibly cool stuff. And here we are. Thank you for inviting us and bringing these two amazing youth poets to the program, and just the time that you've taken to be with us. This has really been amazing. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And I want to let y'all know, like, I literally, I have probably darn near at least like 125, of these podcasts that I really love enough to like go back over and edit and post, but I have to do some editing for the conversation I'm going to have on Friday and the one I'm going to have on Sunday. But this conversation will be the next conversation that I post on YouTube, so know that y'all are so dope that I have pushed you ahead of a lot of really amazing people in this country and in other countries. I had a professor from Belfast, Queen's University in Belfast on. Like, I talk to people from around the world. So actually, y'all are getting pushed up above people from all around the world.
Thank you.
Of course. How you doing down there, Beo?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much for coming on and for sharing your wonderful poetry and your energy. And again, I'm really looking forward to being able to say, I talked to her once. Go check out my YouTube channel. And I just want to, remind you, try to just keep him back in mind. Yes, I want to help other people, but I'm going to figure out how to put myself first. And you have a very bright, bright light in this often dark world, and I want you to polish it.
Thank you.
Of course. Let's see. Shout out to my brother Pacalolos. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Pacalolos, I believe, is actually a musician from Hawaii. Maybe please correct me if I am wrong, but he's definitely we have this crew on Twitch called the Catch a Fire Friday crew. So there's just a bunch of reggae DJs from all over the world that play music. And sometimes I will do an interview before we start running around to all the different DJs. And Pacalolos is a part of that family. So thank you so much for being here, King. So that's another thing I would definitely say. Start a Twitch channel. Like, for real, people do some of everything on here. If you are practicing something because you love it several times a week, turn on a camera and give people the opportunity to support you and give you tips. So I don't know if y'all saw earlier, here we go. But like this, all those little cheers, those are like tips. Like, so they can just give you money. It's not like a lot of money, but it's, it's money. So being on here is a way for people to support you. So yeah, definitely. Oh, and of course, shout out Austin from Consumption Literacy Project and her daughter Navoya, who was here earlier. And yes, so we have started the raid. We're going to go to Koreatown, LA to go see House Shoes. And are there any final comments that anyone has before I click the button?
Thank you. Thanks to Osei and to Beo and to you, Yuta. Thank you.
Of course. Thank all of y'all. And I will close by saying this has been another episode of Hella Random Radio, where positive energy lives. I love you. I love me. I love us. Peace.
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 Boop.